This video tutorial will explore the features and uses of the Lynx Mixer Outputs page for an AES16e running firmware revision 11 or higher and driver build 18 or higher on Windows. With the current driver and firmware elements, the AES16e supports 32 channels of input and output, 16 channels of onboard AES EBU, and 16 channels of L-Stream, the Lynx I/O expansion protocol. The new Outputs mixer supports 64 by 32 mixing, routing, and signal summing. As you can see, there are a lot of sources to manage. The Outputs page is organized into a matrix view with signal sources displayed in the left column and output destinations displayed at the bottom. The outputs are grouped into 16 sets of stereo pairs. The first 8 represent the 8 stereo AES outputs on the card. The next 8, digital outs 9 through 16, represent the L-Stream outputs. These are the outputs that one would use if an expansion card, like the LS8AT, was attached to the AES16e. Above the output labels are the buttons for dither on/off. Dither is off by default. You may want to turn it on if you are sending 24-bit program material to a digital destination that does not support 24 bits, such as a DAT recorder, for instance. Also, if one is doing significant level reduction with the Lynx Mixer faders, dither can reduce the aliasing that can occur from digital gain reduction. Hold down the Shift key to change the dither in stereo pairs. The mute button simply mutes the associated output. Hold down the Shift key to mute channels in pairs. Next up are the Lynx Mixer faders, where the signal levels sent to the associated output can be decreased. Keep in mind this is the overall output level, which adjusts the level of all sources feeding that output. Signal level is represented on the meters next to the fader, and the amount of attenuation is presented numerically at the top of the fader. The square next to this will turn red whenever there has been an overloading of the outputs. A couple of notes about the faders. In addition to standard click drag to change fader levels, you can also hold down the Shift key on your keyboard while click dragging to alter a stereo pair of outputs. Or, if you wish to attenuate all of the outputs simultaneously, this can be done by holding down the Control key while lowering a fader volume. Double-clicking the mouse in the fader will return it to unity gain. The signal sources that can be assigned to the outputs are on the left side of the screen. These are a combination of record or input sources and play sources, which are audio playback streams sent from audio software. Record sources come first. These allow you to assign inputs to be routed to outputs at a hardware level, with no discernible latency. In a recording context, this is one way you could have an engineer and/or performer hear the signals being recorded in real time. Signals sent to the inputs are immediately redirected to the outputs, avoiding the latency that results from input signal going through the operating system and recording software before being sent to the outputs. Playback sources are pre-assigned to logical outputs. For instance, play 1 plus 2 are assigned to digital out 1 left and right. Play 3 plus 4 are assigned to digital out 2 left and right, and so on. However, you can route these playback streams in whichever way you would like. Sending audio from play 1 plus 2 to all 16 pairs of outputs for testing all output channels is one example. Now let's look at the steps necessary to activate monitor sources and what control options are available. Once a signal source has been selected from the matrix, in the bottom left corner of the mixer screen, a pair of faders will appear that controls the parameters for that source, including level and pan settings. Let's say you would like to monitor the signals from record 3 plus 4 through digital out 1 left and right. Simply click the record 3 plus 4 source for the channel strip of digital out 1. Now the faders in the bottom left corner apply to this source. By default, all record sources are muted, so the first step to get signal to pass is to unmute these sources. Hold the Shift key while clicking the mute button to unmute both source channels at once. Now, as you can see, any signals from inputs 3 and 4 are routed to digital out 1 left and right. Each channel can be attenuated independently, and the resulting decrease in level will be shown numerically in the original source box. There is also 12 dB of additional gain available for each monitor source, allowing a good monitor balance even from sources with dramatically different levels. Additionally, you can use the pan sliders for each source to control the pan level, which also will be reflected in the level indications from the source box. Panning is generally going to be more of an issue with mono sources. Let's take a look at a scenario where you have a mono source coming into the system and want to monitor it through a pair of outputs. Let's say you want to monitor a mic signal from record 5 through digital out 2 left and right. Select the record 5 plus 6 monitor block, but only unmute the left channel, record 5. Now you probably want that source panned in the center, so take the associated pan control and move it to the center position. Now that mono signal is coming out of both outputs equally. As you can see, you can assign as many input sources as you wish for each output. Just make sure and manage the level of each source to prevent overloading the outputs. Next, you can look at assigning playback sources to multiple outputs. First, why would you want to do this? Well, let's say you have the main outputs in your system feeding a pair of studio monitors, and you want a second set of the same playback material to be sent to a headphone amp. This is easily accomplished in the Outputs mixer. Let's presume that the play stream you want to monitor is coming from play 1 plus 2, and you want to monitor that through digital out 1 left and right, as well as digital out 2 left and right. This is accomplished with a similar method as assigning input sources. Play 1 plus 2 routes to digital out 1 automatically. Nothing to do there. But we do need to assign play 1 plus 2 to digital out 2. Again, click the appropriate source. Play 1 plus 2 in the source row for the digital out 2 column. Simply unmute these sources, and as you can see from the meters, we now have the play streams going out both outputs. Now that you have a monitoring scheme you like, save a mixer scene for instant recall. Clearly, the routing features of the new Lynx Mixer are quite flexible, allowing you to establish any routing scheme that you would ever need.